Hi, my name is Tai. Welcome to Brand My Idea. Brand My Idea is brought to you by Imago DA. Imago DA is a creative agency located in the heart of the ancient city of Ibadan, right? And we have a very big dream, right? What we want to do is to build local homegrown African businesses into global brands. I can see Lexi Flames as welcome, one of our biggest interactors, if that's a real word, on Instagram. Welcome. Great to have you here. Right. So a brief overview of who we are and what we do. So like I said, Imagodi is a creative agency. What we do is, like I said, we want to build local homegrown African businesses into global brands, but we do this by visual communication. Our core competencies are in visual communication. So however it is that you can communicate visually, social media marketing, printables, billboards. We believe that every visual experience should be the ultimate experience, okay? And every visual experience that a customer has with your brand is a very pivotal point in crafting that brand. And so we invest a lot of time and energy and creativity in crafting the ultimate visual experience, between you and your customer. All right. Now with Brand My Idea, though, what we do is every Monday we take this 30 minutes to just talk around in very simple terms different aspects of building a great brand. We're very passionate about local businesses, homegrown businesses becoming standard global brands. We want to be able to see, businesses that arise from Africa standing side by side with equal brand power as the biggest guys in the industry. So that's also every Monday we just take this 30 minutes, we talk around a few things here and there. We also have some other specialized trainings. We had a food branding webinar last week. The video from the webinar will be up on our YouTube page later today. We'll send a link across so you can catch up on some of the things we talked about, and so on and so forth. Today we want to talk about a simple thing called organizational culture, but we're going to talk about it in very simple everyday language, okay? Nothing high and mighty. You can research on it and read up a lot more on it, especially if you own your own business. But here and there we just want to have a conversation around this thing called organizational culture. If at any point you have a question or you have something that you feel you want to share, just give me a wave or put a mention in the comment section, and then I will just read out what it is that you want to say. We try to keep this to 30 minutes, so we wouldn't really delve in depth, but it's enough content that you can apply right after the episode. So we ensure that after now you can just take up some of the things we learn and apply them to your business or to your workplace immediately. Nothing over the top. So let's talk about this thing called organizational culture, right? I'll start with a maybe like a preamble, if we can call it that. Not really a preamble, actually. Just let's ease into the conversation. But let's start from how human beings interpret new things, because that helps us understand why culture is important and why it's important that a business actually builds and develops a culture. The truth is, human beings tend to be very I'm trying to put the word right, but we categorize, okay? Every time a human being sees something new, like if you haven't seen something before and you see for the first time, how your brain would want to interpret this new data would be to kind of use existing data to understand it. What I mean is, if I see an oddly shaped object, I don't know what it is, I've never seen it before, immediately my mind brings up a picture of something that has the characteristic. For example, if this object is black, immediately my mind brings up the black things that I have seen, and just tries to categorize. So we categorize it based on what we already know. So if I see somebody who is dark skinned, I say, okay, this is dark skinned. Why? Because I had seen dark skinned before, so I immediately categorize them as dark skinned. Of course, there is a downside to this. I mean, we in Nigeria know how tribalistic people can become. So you hear a lot of things. a lot of things. Oh, the Yorubas are this, the Yorubas are so and so. If so, for example, somebody comes and finds and meets a new person, say, oh, what tribe are you from? And says, oh, no, I'm Yoruba. There's Yoruba demons. Yoruba guys are, Lexi Flames. Black takes my head to do those. Imagine, look at that. So imagine, she just imagines do those. In fact, I mean, that's it. You see an oddly shaped black object, immediately you think of Dudos. Actually, funny enough, when I was giving that example, Dudos came to mind, because I just think if I see any round black object that I don't know what it is, I'm probably likely going to immediately first think of Dudos. Is this black soap that somebody left, or whatever? It's just, you want to kind of create a connection with what you already know. So you have people say, oh, all Yoruba guys are Yoruba demons. Igbo people like money. Edo ladies maybe used to fly in the night. Pardon me, I'm saying things that are urban slangs. These are in no way representative of what I believe or think. I think every human being is a human being first before any other thing. So, but here in Nigeria, we have all of this social or urban, whether we can call them myths or just colloquialisms, or how do they say it? But it's just things that people throw around here and there. I mean, if you just throw through Twitter, you find somebody. I mean, I saw some time back somebody says, "Oh, never date a guy called Akin or something." I can't remember. Or Femi. I think it was Femi. Never date a guy called Femi. I can't remember. So somebody, immediately a girl says, I see somebody that is called Akin, and then all the Akins that she has ever met in her life all come together to give interpretation to the new Akin. Human beings are generally like that. Yeah, so good. That's true. Lexi Flames, it's called stereotyping. But stereotyping is birthed from a human tendency to just try and interpret new data based on what we already know. So we would always categorize something that we see for the first time based on some part of it that reminds us of what we had seen before. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just trying to lay a foundation that human beings generally we survive by interpretation. I mean, look at a lot of the academic disciplines. They are always grouping. So biology takes all living organisms and tries to group them into kingdoms and phylum and all of that. Even in economics, you want to have a group of this, you want to have this kind of consumer, this kind of we live by grouping. We understand our world by categorizing. Is overwhelming to try and understand things individually because there's so much hitting us from everywhere. So our basic survival instinct is to categorize. Now, why am I saying that? If you have a business or a brand, a product, I always say that every Brand My Day episode, I say that people don't buy products, they buy brands. Okay, there are 1,000,001 people who are selling stuff to the same customer that you're selling. Some are selling what you're selling, some are selling something else. But the truth is, we are bombarded by commodities left, right, and center. Your product, as brilliant and as fantastic as it is to you, your product is not entirely novel to your customer. Okay, it's not groundbreaking. Okay, it's another product. Now, branding helps you to create an imprint. People don't buy products, they buy brands. What branding does as a discipline is that it helps you to carve an imprint in the minds of your customer. It's all about the customer. Okay, so it's not enough to have a good product. You must create a good brand. You have to have both. You need to have both a good product and a good brand. A good product is about, you do all that you need to do. Create a fantastic product. Make sure that everything is done the way it is done. But people will not buy it because it's a good product. They will buy what they think it is. People will not buy what you have made. They will buy what they think you have made. And so while you are creating or crafting a fantastic product, you want to make sure that alongside you are crafting a great brand. Your brand is the perception that your customers have of you, of your business, of your product. So while you craft an amazing product, craft an amazing brand alongside. Okay, and so we had, of course, we mentioned a number of things: your visual identity. A lot of factors come into this overall picture of a good brand. But one of the key things in creating a good brand is what we call organizational culture. And why is that? Remember that I said earlier that human beings interpret new data by putting it alongside existing data. We categorize things, okay? We survive by putting things in categories. So if you want to be recognizable as a company, you must make sure that you fit yourself into something that is recognizable. And what is that? It's a culture. I'll retrace my steps a bit so that I don't confuse. I'm trying to keep this very simple and everyday language. If at any point, you're a bit lost, please just, hit at me so that I can retrace my steps a bit. So let me quickly run through this thing of culture. We recognize people by their culture. I was talking about it earlier that in Nigeria, this is it's not new to us. It's something that we see a lot happen, that, okay, you know what, somebody says, oh, where's that guy from? And he says, oh, he's from Port Harcourt, and immediately you say, oh, Port Harcourt people are this, but I don't do business with this people. Someone says, oh, where is this? He says from Ijebu. No, I don't do business with people. Or someone asks and says, where is this person from? He says from Nasarawa State. No, Nasarawa people, they whatever. And or somebody says, oh, where is this person from? And he says, oh, it's from Imo State. And I say, yes, the Imo people are. There's a categorization. There are probably like maybe 1 million people from Imo State who are all very different people. Each of them has a different fingerprint. So they are all very unique individuals. But because we survive by grouping, we understand our world by grouping. We can't understand our world except we group. It helps us to categorize people based on culture, a set of similar values, right? So if I find that 5 people have a certain kind of value, I group them, in a place. What are values? Just expression of a way of life. How do I put it simply? If we say, okay, these people have a certain set of values, the value is like a code of conduct, what determines how people act or how people behave. So if I find 10 people who have similar set of values, say for example, every time I say hello, somebody responds hola. Now I meet another person, I say hello, the person responds hola. I meet another person, the person responds and see there, hola. In my mind, I'm going to group all these people and say, oh, these are the people that say hola. Where are they from? It doesn't really matter if they are very different people. Just because there was a certain response that cuts across all of them, I group them as one. That's the kind of thing that a culture helps you to do, that you have a predictable behavior from a certain set of people that you use to form a bias about them, right? So you find that, okay, a certain organization has, somehow every time I walk into this company, somebody waves a really bright smile at me. Everybody in this company smiles at me. Every single person smiles at me. Hey, Ayo, welcome. Great to have you. This is your first time, but welcome. Right. So I was saying, you walk into an organization and everybody smiles at me, right? It starts to form something in my mind. These are the people that smile, and it starts to, incite a certain emotional response from me. I start to form this idea about them, and that's a very, very key point in developing a brand, that somebody is beginning to form an idea. It's not about the product right now. It's just somebody is forming an idea. Oh, these are really happy people, or these are really these people. Or you walk into, and the flip side is there are some companies or some organizations that are notorious for horrible behavior. So you just know these people are horrible. When you enter inside this place, everybody is this and everybody is that, and that has just formed an impression in the mind of the audience, and that's just one aspect of it. But what we're trying to just drive home is that the culture of a company, whether you are the only one in your company, but the culture of a company is a very foundational part of building that brand. Remember again, a brand is a perception. A brand is the idea. Your brand, rather, is the idea that your customers have of you. It's not who you are. It is what people think you are. And very important. You may say, oh, I'm doing what I'm doing. But if you are a great company, you have a great product, and people don't know that you have a great product, it's as well as you don't have a great product, okay? So you have to take special attention to carving the perception that you are putting out as much as what you are actually offering to people. Okay, Lexi Flame says She agrees totally. So she says that in my head, Union Bank's customer care, First Bank, Apollo, polar opposites in my head. See, so she says I have different expectations from both. Uh, Although Union is on the good in my head, sha. Amazing. I hope that at some point, maybe somebody from Union Bank or First Bank would read this. All of us, I'm sure, if you just top of your, you've been in situations where you've experienced some very horrible customer, and it's not just customer service. So it sometimes it's not even so much about how somebody answered you, attended to you, which is customer service. Sometimes it's just you just enter an office and everybody just seems unhappy. When I was at supermarket this morning, I would leave out the name. If maybe next time I'll say the name if it continues, but I almost yelled at the cashier, because everybody just always seems so unhappy. Everybody, from the security guard to the cashier to the person helping you pick out an item. It's just this, you just enter and you feel like, you just feel sad because everybody just looks morose and unhappy. Or you enter some other places and things are just sloppy. Somebody is just, they give you things very, nobody really cares. Or on the other hand, on the flip side, you may enter or you may have an interaction. Now it may not even be about physical buildings, right? So you may maybe have an interaction with a company. A few weeks ago, an e-commerce, no, a fintech company that I had an interaction with, and I spoke to three different customer care channels. I was just disturbing them. I needed help immediately, but I was really did three different people, three different channels, but the responses were very, very, very similar. And that's the power of culture, that what, we are carving a predictable behavior that our company oozes out. Why? Because human beings categorize based on culture. We group people, and we group people based on culture. What is culture? Culture can be basically defined as a set of values, how people behave, what informs how people behave. And so when I look at how certain people behave in a company, or how a company behaves towards me, and I form a perception about that company based on how the interaction went. Okay, so now it's very simple background. We've given the examples of these issues with customer service, and now again, it may not just be customer service, even online presence, how the language, how a post is carved, how how, what kind of pictures, how a phone call is answered, how a package is delivered. Is the how. The culture is basically about the how, and that how makes a difference, because when you think about it, how somebody handles money forms, you attach it to a certain set of people. How somebody greets or how somebody treats older people, you attach it to another certain set of people. It's not about the action, it's the how things are done, how your product is sold, how a customer is attended to. The how forms a huge part of the perception that people will have of your business. Hey, Lily White, welcome. It's great to have you here. I've missed seeing your face and us talking. Welcome, a huge welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, so let's now talk around more practical aspects of this organizational culture of a thing. As a small business or a large business, whatever kind of business you are, the very first step of building a proper organizational culture is developing core values. Okay, developing, and not just developing, communicating and ensuring that whoever is in the organization, even if it is just you, conforms to those core values. Okay, every company must have a set of core values. Core values define your culture. You cannot be careless about the culture, because culture will be formed whether or not you form it. Remember, culture is about the how. they're really stressed and maybe a customer is really getting on your nerves, you probably snap at them because, hey, I need to meet my deadlines. You're just flowing from day to day, or here and there you miss you tell a customer, okay, I'll deliver this to you by this time and all of that, but somehow you miss it. Stuff like just in running everyday business, your culture is being formed. People are interpreting a how, or putting a how to you. They are somehow carving that perception, whether or not you like it, or you agree with it or not. So I can't count how many people that I have had the conversation with about fashion designers, and everybody says that fashion designers don't keep to time. It's a culture. It's a culture that, whether or not you want to create, it has been created by every single deadline that you miss. In my field as well, which I am guilty, I'm consciously now trying to fight it. Creatives are generally believed to just be sloppy people. That means there are just times you are not creative or however it is. So we are notorious for smashing and destroying and burying deadlines, if you can call it that. Deadlines and creative people seem to just be polar opposites, like we don't go together. Okay, it's a culture that seems to have formed, and whether or not you like it, it is being as it has been carved, or it is being carved, and people believe that about you, so it has unwittingly become the culture of your company. If you are guilty of that, and on and on and on. So like we're talking about bad customer service, it has become a culture. So you have some places where people just say, those people, except you don't have any other option, please don't go there, you hate yourself, you may be made to feel like you don't matter, so on and so forth. So if you want to now deliberately carve an organizational culture, the first place to start is core values. You have to sit down and carve out, what are the values of my company. And again, remember, this thing is about the how. We are going to always do what we do in this certain way. What are the things that will define this company? You have to put words to it. It's like adjectives. What are the adjectives that are going to define who we are? Which means these core values must now play out in everything that we do. It must play out in our social media, marketing. It must play out in every advert we put out. It must play out when somebody comes on a phone call with us. It must play out in every single thing that we do. That's what a value is. It's like the atom. It's like the grain that makes up everything else. Okay, it must be present in every single thing that we do. Okay, examples of core values. I would read out some of some companies and read out some of their core values, but random, if you're wondering, okay, what are core values? There's a lot out there. Core values may be things like, they're abstract things, so you can see companies with very abstract core values like commitment, integrity, discipline, high sounding stuff. But the truth is, core values should actually have a meaning to you. You who have started your company should sit down and think, what do I see my company as? I want to give a definition. If my company, was a tribe, what would define who we are? If you want to define the Yoruba tribe, there are things that you would use to define who Yoruba people are. If you want to define the Igbos, there are things that you would use to define who the Igbos are. If you want to define the Isekiris, there are things you would use to define them. So your company as a tribe, what are we going to use to define you? What category are we putting you guys under? Such that if we see somebody who works with your company, if we see you yourself, it's predictable. I can say, oh yeah, wow. So if I say, a company A is this, and say, this person works for company A, immediately I think this person is disciplined, this person is smart, or this person is this. So your core values are very important. You don't just go and read the dictionary and pluck out higher sounding words so that your brand profile can look beautiful and professional. Not really. What you want to do is you want to sit down and just kind of envision, if this company was a tribe, what do I want to be known for? What values do we as a company want to be known for? What should distinguish us from another company who is doing what we're doing, or another company who is not doing what we're doing? But what are the things that are going to set us apart or distinguish us, as these are these people? So even if a random person wears a t-shirt bearing your company name, I should be able to say this about this person. It's like a Google. If you see somebody who with a t-shirt and says, talk to me, I work with Google, you just start to imagine that this person probably is a really smart person, maybe is an out of the box person. There's a culture, okay, that you just attach to Google employees, okay? But your own company, what culture do we attach to your employees? And it plays out in everything. So even if you are going to have an apparel or a branded item, it should bear some essence of your culture. Are you guys fun? Is it one of your core values fun? One of your core values creativity? We need to see it. We should see it in everything that you're putting out, okay? So make sure that those core values represent a culture that you want to build. And when you have core values, not enough to just have it in a nice fancy frame and place it somewhere where everybody can see it and customers can say, oh, these are the core values. No, you want to imbibe it in every single aspect of your business, okay? You want to make sure that your core values are playing out in how you're treating your customers, in how your operations run. If, for example, you have a core value that says fun, I can't see why you have a core value of fun and your office setup or your work setup, even if you don't have an office, but your work setup is boring and predictable. If you say fun, then we have to see something fun about you. Maybe show us fun stuff, right? Let's see fun. Social media should have pictures that look like fun, not just what is predictable, what is everywhere else. Okay, if one of your core values is trustworthiness, let's say, and it doesn't have to be one word. I should say that core values don't necessarily have to be one word. It could be a phrase, or you could define it. If your core value is discipline, we should also see that when we walk into your space, or if I ever have an interaction with you, let's say you give me a deadline, you have to see that I have to see rather that you beat the deadline. If you say your core value is discipline, if your core value is integrity, then your yes should be yes and your no should be no. You shouldn't tell me yes and then you go behind me to give something else, and all that. So when we say core values, each of your core values should play out in every single thing that your business does, especially when it comes to customers. Every time a customer interacts with your business in whatever way, be it a phone call or a social media advert or a billboard or a brochure or a flyer, or they walk into your space or they talk to you directly as a business, interfacing with your business, I should see that your core value should leak out to me. It should leak out to me. I shouldn't have to guess it. I should see integrity. I should see fun. I should see creativity. I should see whatever it is that you say your core values are. Okay, so we're just about out of time. I'll give a few minutes if anybody has a question, but I thought I would read out, if I could read out a few core values that I found interesting. So let me because I like Google a lot, and Starbucks, so let me just read out Google's core values. So Google's core values are not one word core values, they are sentences actually. So but let me read out what they believe in. Okay, it's not really, of course they won't show us everything, but this is what they put out as what they believe in. It's just a snippet. Okay, this is from a website called elementary.com. So it's just like a picture of what they believe in, so you can guess what the core values are on your own. So first is focus on the user and all else will follow. That's amazing. It is best to do one thing really, really well. Fast is better than slow. Democracy on the web works. You don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. The fifth or so, sorry, we had a bit of a pause. You can make money without doing evil. There's always more information out there. The need for information crosses all borders. You can be serious without a suit. That's awesome. Great just isn't good enough. I think that's amazing. That's so amazing. Let me see. Starbucks. I like Starbucks a lot. So let me read their core values. So these are the values. So this is just a look at what Google, I hope you followed me. Google's core value. Starbucks, on the other hand, Starbucks is a coffee brand. And they say creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. Acting with courage, challenging the status quo, and finding new ways to grow our company and each other. Being present, connecting with transparency, dignity, and respect. Delivering our very best in all we do. Holding ourselves accountable for results. I think that's awesome. Okay, Adediwura J. Hi Joseph is asking a question. He says that those core values sound like slogans. Is form of a slogan, but when we say core value, it's what its purpose that is important to us, the purpose of that statement. So if a slogan is for the purpose of building a culture, then it's a core value. A core value may not be in form of a slogan. A core value may be in form of a phrase, may be in form of a sentence. It could be in form of a slogan, but the key thing to note here is what is the purpose of that slogan. So core values are simply the basis of building a culture. So you have a picture of what you want a company to be like, what every single employee of the company to exhibit, characteristics that you want to be evident in a company, and then you itemize them, whether you want to use single words or you want to use a phrase or you want to use sentences or you even want to use slogans. It's all boils down to you, but you want to capture what what would characterize a tribe, what would characterize those set of people, that company, in the minds of everybody else, and put it into specific things that you can then now start to imbibe into a day-to-day activity. So you notice what we read from Google and Starbucks. You can, every single day you wake up or you get to work, they can implement these things. So you have things like creating a culture of warmth and belonging. I can wake up today and go to work and say, okay, I'm going to create a culture of warmth and belonging today, on and on and on. Okay, so you can check a lot more. You can go online. Like I said, this was from element3.com, but they are all over the internet. HBR, Harvard Business Review, also has an article on organizational culture. There's a lot of content on organizational culture and core values, but I'm hoping that what we had spoken through today and just gone through today gives a basis for you to sit down. So you can do that today or later today. Just sit down and say, can get a picture. What do I want to characterize my company as? If this was a tribe, what are the characteristics that I would want this tribe to be? If an employee of my company works on the road, what behaviors do I want that employee to exhibit? Every time a customer interacts with my company, what vibes do I want them to get? What do I want them to think? What are the top words I want to come to their mind? Do I want warmth? Do I want fun? Do I want creativity? Do I want discipline? Do I want integrity? But you just want to think, every time a customer interacts with my company, with anybody, right, with any single person, right from the gate man to the customer care rep or to me myself as the sole employee in my company, what do I want? What are the top things I want them to imagine? What are the top things I want to come to their minds, on and on and on, right? So we're out of time. I think this was great. The video will be up on our IGTV in just a little bit, in a few minutes. So if you want to rewatch this, you can do that as well. And if you have any questions at any point, or you want to reach out to us to ask whatever, okay, we love businesses. We have a dream, right? And we believe that businesses, local and homegrown, right here from Africa, can stand side by side with equal brand power with the world's biggest guys. Okay, so please just reach out to us. We are all learning and growing together. We are also a startup, so we are growing together. We want to grow together. Okay, we believe in Africa, and we're sure that things can come out. Awesome things, great things can come out of Africa. Alrighty, have a great day ahead. I hope this was helpful to all of us. Feedback is more than welcome. You can DM us at any time or mention us, at any point in time. Right. Have an amazing day, everybody, and see you next week Monday. Would have another 30 minutes next week Monday. Alrighty.